Oh, Kirk!
I'm trying to. It's so far out.
Hey, Joe Cummings, Missoula River Lodge, checking in after June. I will share the funny story at the end. It is complete with a boat on the bank and a truck in the river. We'll talk about that later. Checking in on June. This was an old-timey June. When I started this 20 years ago, June wasn't all that busy. It was big water, comes and goes. The Rock Creek guys were always busy because Rock Creek's such an incredible resource for this area in terms of reliable June fishing. But June moves around. But the last 6 years or so, we've had these low water Junes where a lot of the fishing comes in June and people book those dates. And then July, we've had low water years. That's that hoot owl, dead low fishing that we've had quite a bit of lately. Well, that's not what we have this year. Our really good dry fly stuff just came in, other than salmon flies and everything that Rock Creek does. So this is a typical year. You know, it's over 1,500 at Darby, and July and August is when everything drops in, it gets level, the water sorts out. We've been spoiled with some really easy Junes the last 6-7 years, well, since 2011. Since 2011, you know, June's been a very reliable month in terms of lower water, but those were lower flows. So the last 2 weeks of June have become the most requested and the busiest of the year. That was a slog, being at volume and a lot of boats going, not just us, everybody's going. Real estate was squashed by flow. Fishing was a B minus. In general, you catch some fish, we get some big fish. It's hard to have those, you know, days where you catch 30 over 17 inches and it's all dry flies all the time at these flows. So June was a slog and wasn't our finest June by any stretch. We're in now, weather's level, water's on the drop but not dropping as fast as we thought it was going to drop. And we're still at 1,500 at Darby. The Blackfoot's still over 2,000. It's hot and sunny, which it's nice if you're wearing shorts and sandals, but we'd like to see some clouds. Of course, we don't want to get dry. Of course, we don't want to catch on fire. But in terms of flows, we've got a long way to drop before we see that dead low water. And it doesn't seem like it's happening all that fast. It's moving, but we're not dropping $1,000 a day out of the Clark Fork. Maybe doing 500 a day. We're still over 10,000 under town. So I like where it's headed right now. We made it through an old-timey June, and we look like we're going to have an old-timey July, which is pretty awesome. And as long as the weather doesn't get funky, we should ride out these flows through the summer. Now, who knows, right? Things change, but take a deep breath and head on to July. Shorts, sandals, dry flies, lower water, not as much white water, slicks full of rising fish. Should be a good midsummer. All right, so one of the shuttle drivers, well, all the shuttle drivers are my friends, but one of my friends sent me a text the other day. He said, if you're looking for a new fishing guide, it looks like one's going to be available because I don't think he's going to be able to work where he's at right now. And then he sent me this picture. Now you're going to notice a couple things about the picture. One is the boat is on the landing ramp, and two, the truck is in the river. As a general rule, we put the raft in the river and we keep the truck on the ramp. It gets difficult. Sometimes you get confused. You're like, maybe I should try to get the truck in the river and then put the raft on the dirt. And then you figure out then the raft doesn't really float on the dirt and the truck doesn't really float in the river. But if you switch those two things, the truck will drive on the dirt pretty good. And the rafts, they're designed to be on the river, where they go down the river, they float right on the river. So, there's some stuff you learn early on in the guide business that can be challenging. You know, where things go, what flies work, what sections to do. Sometimes you got to do a portage. Sometimes you're like, well, what floats and what doesn't? And then you figure out, oh man, the truck doesn't float, but the raft floats. Holy cow. And then the dots start to connect. You get in the boat, you raft down the river, and then the truck goes up and it parks, and then it meets you at the bottom of the river and picks you back up. You don't want to make that mistake. That one you want to get right away. So I don't know the story on it. Who knows what happened, but I thought it was a funny picture. And I didn't use it. I didn't like take that picture and make a resume out of it and hire anybody for that guide position. He looked like maybe he needed a little bit more work on boat launching a little bit and not truck launching. So we're on the other side of it. Had some time with the kids. You saw some footage of that. Got a chance to hunt some big fish with some new guests of ours. Fishing's here. Here's the summer. Here's Montana in the summer. It only lasts a little bit. I hope to see you here. And put your sunscreen on and look for rising fish. And that's SMB signing out. Have a good day. Joe Cummings, Missoula River Lodge. Do you think we can catch one fish?
I don't know, but if we can't, and it's almost dark, we're going home right away.